broadcasting live at Orbital Science Corporation's Antares rocket on Launch Pad 0A along the eastern shore of Virginia at NASA's Wallops Flight Facility. The overall complex is part of the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport. The clocks are counting down to the launch of this cargo vehicle named the C. Gordon Fullerton Cygnus spacecraft, which resides inside a protective fairing atop the 130-foot tall rocket as the countdown is proceeding smoothly with weather both in space and on the ground now in near perfect to support launch activities today. They're currently tracking only one issue relative to the range that currently is red for the launch, which is scheduled to occur just a little more than 21 minutes from now. The official targeted launch time is 1:07:05 Eastern Standard Time, and all has gone very smoothly throughout the countdown, which began shortly before 5 a.m. This morning Eastern Time, as a team of flight controllers located at the Range Control Center there at the Wallops Island, Virginia facility has been monitoring all of the systems relative to the rocket itself and the spacecraft.
Zone 4 with nominal AGC.
All of the routine countdown procedures have gone very smoothly. There have been a number of polls throughout the morning that set the stage for the loading of fuel aboard the rocket, and all of that has also gone very smoothly. So the teams are essentially just awaiting the final word on the range. There have been a couple of issues. Some people are in the launch range area that they're attempting to clear that area as well. There was another issue that also cropped up, similar to what occurred with a recent launch of the Antares as well, known as distant focusing overpressure. Essentially, it has to do with atmospheric conditions relative to the unlikely event of a failure of a rocket shortly after launch. It's an overpressure event that could break windows in some of the buildings associated with the launch range area. So all of that is the last items to be followed, but the countdown is going to continue all the way down at least until the poll at the 12-minute mark, which would occur about 12:55 this afternoon Eastern for the final countdown. That would set the stage for the last 12 minutes of the countdown leading up to launch.
Arm indication, telemetry.
FTS arm indication.
Check 324 and FSO, verify FTS arm indication.
You'll be hearing a number of calls made throughout the remainder of the countdown here on NASA television from the Range Control Center. As you can hear, the flight controllers, launch control center there at the Range Control Center are continuing as per the timeline leading to the scheduled launch.
Provide status of upper level winds.
LCGNC1, upper level winds are go for launch.
Roger that. Upper level winds are reported go for launch. We'll check 328 complete.
And you just heard that upper level winds now are go for launch. That is one item that a little bit earlier the upper level winds were a potential issue that appears to have been cleared now as the countdown proceeds smoothly.
Roger that. Site control, LC.
LC, site control?
Yeah, we're request for an additional recharge of the tail at this time.
Okay, copy that. Charge and work.
Copy and work.
The launch today itself actually serves as the first in a series of rendezvous maneuvers that will allow the Cygnus spacecraft, which is delivering almost 3,000 pounds of cargo to the International Space Station, to arrive at the station on Sunday morning in the early hours. The basically 3-day rendezvous approach is a stair-step approach to slowly raise the Cygnus's orbit up to that of the International Space Station, matching it for the actual capture and berthing of Cygnus to the station's Harmony module, the docking port of choice that Harmony module port that faces the Earth, the nadir port. Cygnus, this Antares rocket with Cygnus has made a couple of trips to the launch pad. Obviously, back in December, the launch originally was targeted, and the pump module issue on the space station deferred the launch until January, so that the station crew members on board could remove and replace that suspect pump module. That, of course, all went smoothly in December, and set the stage to reschedule the launch for early January. And of course, yesterday the launch was postponed until today to allow for some a phenomenon of a solar flare that occurred just as a precaution to make sure that it didn't interfere with any of the electronics on the rocket itself, the Antares launch vehicle. Cygnus, there was never an issue with the Cygnus spacecraft itself.
CMD, countdown 1.
LC, this is CMD on countdown 1. Go ahead.
And CMD, step 329, you go to transfer Cygnus to internal power and report when complete.
Copy that, in work.
And you're hearing the call now that the Cygnus spacecraft, which weighs about a little more than 10,000 pounds, about 4,600 kilograms, including the 2,765 pounds of cargo to be delivered to the station. It's now being transferred to its own internal power from that of the ground. That coming here at the 15-minute mark until launch. Again, the launch is scheduled for 1:07 p.m. Eastern Time.
LC, DFO. Roger that, TD. Range is green for DFO.
That call is the range that was read earlier for what's known as distant focusing overpressure, or DFO. That was one item that remained to be cleared, so the countdown is proceeding smoothly. The weather has cooperated very nicely, as you see from the launch site. A beautiful day on the eastern shore of Virginia.
3:30. And CMD, I'll wait for your call back on successful transfer of Cygnus to internal power.
LC, this is CMD on countdown 1.
Go ahead, CMD.
Yeah, Cygnus is on internal power and nominal, ready for launch.
Roger that, CMD. We'll check 329 complete.
As you heard, Cygnus now is on internal power. So that transition from ground to internal power went very smoothly. Cygnus is about 16 feet in diameter. This will actually be the third launch of the Antares rocket associated with the International Space Station program. The first launch was a test flight with a mass simulator that basically simulated the Cygnus spacecraft to demonstrate the operation of the Antares rocket itself. That was followed last September by the demonstration flight that actually did fly all the way to the space station with some payload as part of the Commercial Orbital Transportation System, or COTS, program of the International Space Station. And this flight, known as Orbital-1, signifies the first operational flight with a full payload aboard the Cygnus spacecraft. Again, a mass of about 2,800 pounds of payload to be delivered to the International Space Station. A number of experiments on board the station,
I would like to
aboard the Cygnus headed to the station.
MES-1.
MES-1 is go.
1 is go, GCE.
GCE is go.
GCE, go, ACE.
ACE go.
ACE, go, GSO.
GSOs go.
GSO go. RSO.
RSOs go.
RSO go. TD.
TDs go.
TD go. Mars.
Mars is go.
Mars go. CMD.
CMD is go.
CMD go. LD.
LD is go.
LD go. Orbital.
Orbital is go.
Orbital go. Launch team is go to proceed with final countdown and medium flow chill down. Check step 331. Site control LC. Arm tel for rapid retract.
KLC site control, copy.
And so you just heard the final poll, all go for launch, approaching 11 minutes and counting to the launch of the Antares rocket, delivering the Cygnus spacecraft on a 3-day path to the International Space Station. At the time of launch, the space station will be out over the Atlantic Ocean, just to the east of Brazil, near the equator.
10 minutes.
On board the International Space Station, a crew of 6 makes up the Expedition 38 crew, and they do have the ability to watch the launch of Cygnus. They are greatly anticipating the first of about 8 cargo vehicle deliveries to the station this year. This will mark the 144th station flight or rocket launch to the International Space Station in support of the program that began with the first element launch back in November of 1998.
Roger that. Check 335. And site control status on arming of TEL.
NLC site control, arming still in work.
Roger that.
You hear reference to TEL. That's an acronym for Transporter Erector Launcher. That's essentially the piece of equipment on which the rocket stands currently that transports the rocket to the launch pad from a horizontal integration facility in a horizontal position, and then transports it or erects it vertically.
VDMs.
LC Ops 1, Stage 1 controller VDMs enabled.
Inside 9 minutes to launch.
ACS VDMs, internal power on.
Roger that. Copy that. We'll check 336. And TEL, can you confirm TEL armed for rapid retract?
LC TEL is armed for rapid retract.
Roger that. Check 332. Check 333. And Electrical 1, verifying telemetry Stage 1 and ACS VDMs are enabled, and verify VDM voltages.
LC Elect 1, Stage 1 controller and ACS VDMs enabled. VDM voltages are nominal.
Roger. Check 337.
The entire international partnership obviously anticipating the launch and delivery of Cygnus to the space station, as well as the team there at the Range Control Center and at Orbital's facility outside Washington, D.C. in McLean, Virginia. The team here in Mission Control in Houston, obviously following along as well. The team is led currently by Flight Director Tomas Gonzalez Torres. He is overseeing a team that's been on console since early this morning, and will be obviously following along with the launch activities today as well.
Roger that. Check 338.
Now inside 7 minutes and counting to launch. All very quiet and going very smoothly in the countdown. The countdown again began just before 5 a.m. Eastern Time, about 8 hours and 15 minutes or so before launch. In about 3 minutes, the initiation of the auto sequencer will occur. That essentially transitions to terminal count.
And site control, confirm AFA ECS has transferred from air to GN2.
NLC, site control, we can confirm air to GN2 to AFA.
Roger that, check 339.
For reference, for most of the ascent calls, those will be made by Mike Dorsch there at the Range Control Center. He is the Antares Chief Engineer, so you'll be hearing him for the most part making most of the ascent calls after Antares lifts off.
And Ops 1, step 340, you go to transfer avionics to internal power.
LC Ops 1 in work. All internal power on, standing by 5 seconds. And all external power off.
Check 340, elect 1, step 342, verify avionics, internal power nominal.
LC elect 1 internal power is nominal.
Check 342, NASA TD, report range status.
Range is green.
Check 343, Ops 1, open FTS unbi loop and verify green indication.
So the Antares rocket now is on internal power, approaching 4 minutes and counting to launch. A few of the milestones going uphill. Stage 1 throttle down about 3 minutes, a little more than 3 minutes after launch. Stage 1 separation will be about the 4-minute mark. The protective fairing around the Cygnus will separate a little after the 5-minute mark of the ascent phase.
Ops 1, you go to
Cygnus stage 2, or Antares stage 2 burnout occurs about 8 minutes after launch, and the Cygnus spacecraft would separate about 10 minutes after launch. An orbital insertion will be approximately 150 by 185 statute miles in reference to where the station will be in altitude. The ISS is at 261 statute miles.
elect 1, I'll wait for your verification of OCCS commanding flight control.
Solar array deploy occurs roughly begins about 11 minutes or so after launch and should be completed within the next 5 or 10 minutes after the deploy sequence begins.
Auto sequence start.
Check 352.
Control has transferred to CSOE. ODM bus voltages and currents are nominal.
Check 353, check 354.
Vehicle's now in auto sequence control.
355.
LOX pressurization nominal.
Approaching 2.5 minutes to launch.
SIGI is nominal and ready to configure for flight.
Roger that. Check 356 and Ops 2, step 357, disable automated blended to pure inertial handoffs.
Automated handoffs disabled.
Copy that. Check 357. Ops 2, send 1 manual blended to pure inertial handoff.
Manual handoff sent.
Check 358. T-minus 2 minutes on my mark. Mark. Ops 2, disable ME1 and ME2 heaters.
Now 2 minutes and counting at when Cygnus or Antares and Cygnus lift off. The rocket will actually head out toward the east-southeast to track the same plane. The time of launch will be off the south is that of the International Space Station, which at the time of launch will be off the southeast, off the eastern coast of South America and Brazil, near the equator. Stage 1 ignition actually occurs at the liftoff time of 1:07 and 5 seconds. And after a series of engine health checks, when those are completed at about the plus 1.5 second mark, the vehicle would lift off. "50 seconds and counting."
T-minus 30 seconds on my mark. Mark.
Inside 30 seconds to launch. Again, Antares Chief Engineer Mike Dorsch will make most of the calls going uphill on the ascent profile of Antares, greatly anticipating the delivery of Cygnus to orbit and on its way to the International Space Station.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
We have liftoff of the Antares vehicle for the Orb1 mission while the flight facility delivering Cygnus on its first commercially supplied service to the ISS.
And Antares is on its way, delivering Cygnus to orbit. More than a minute after launch, all continuing to go smoothly in the initial stages of ascent for Antares.
Pass through 3,000 feet in altitude. Avionics power systems remain nominal. Pressurization valve VNO3 has come on. Core pressures are nominal. A modest amount of steering as the vehicle passes through max Q and its maximum dynamic pressure. Altitude is 45,000 feet. TVC steering remains good. Pressurization valve VNG3 is on. Core pressures remain nominal. Attitude is good. Velocity is 2,000 feet per second. Avionics systems remain healthy. Engine performance remains nominal.
2 minutes into flight.
TVC still tracking commands well. Attitude remains nominal. 100 seconds to main engine cutoff. Altitude 100,000 feet. Attitude remains nominal, coming up on T plus 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Avionic systems remain good. TVC is tracking commands well. Steering commands are very small at this point.
2.5 minutes into flight, stage 1 throttle down will occur about 3 minutes 24 seconds into the mission.
Feet per second. Engine performance looks good. Coming up on T plus 3 minutes. Avionics power systems still look healthy.
Three minutes into the flight.
100,000 feet altitude. pressurization valves of VNO 4, 5, and 6 are all on now. Core pressures remain nominal.
Standing by for throttle down that will occur at an altitude of 49 miles.
Now 10,000 feet per second.
Traveling 7,200 miles per hour.
Less than 30 seconds to MECO. Altitude 300,000 feet. Attitude remains nominal. We've skewed. MECO skew is complete.
Standing by for main engine cutoff of stage 1.
Power nominal. And we have MECO. Attitude remains nominal.
MECO occurring 66 miles in altitude, traveling 10,000 miles per hour.
Stage 1 separation.
And as you heard, stage 1 separation has occurred. And the telemetry tracking the spacecraft. A beautiful launch occurring on time at 1:07 p.m. Eastern Time.
Stage 1 performance was 19,710 delta v, feet per second of delta V. That's within 40 feet per second of the nominal prediction. Excellent stage 1 performance. Antares is now in the coast phase until the proper conditions for fairing separation and stage 2 ignition are achieved.
And that fairing separation should occur about 30 seconds from now, about 5 minutes, 20 seconds into the mission, now at 5 minutes, MET and counting.
Determined that stage 2 ignition will be at T plus 5 minutes and 47 seconds. So, under 40 seconds to stage 2 ignition, attitude remains nominal.
Standing by for fairing separation, followed very quickly by interstage separation.
$20 seconds to stage 2 ignition. Power room. 10 seconds to stage 2 ignition. Fairing separation. Interstage separation. TVC battery initiated.
As 6 minutes into the flight, all continuing to go smoothly. Stage 2 ignition has occurred.
Stage Sorry, we have stage 2 ignition. Pressures look nominal in the early part of the Castor 30 burn. This is the first flight of the enhanced performance Castor 30 V motor. It'll burn about 128 seconds. It's about 12 seconds longer than the standard version of the motor that we flew on the first 2 missions. Attitude remains nominal. Altitude is 205 kilometers. T plus 7 minutes. Attitude remains nominal.
7 minutes into the flight now, all continuing to go smoothly since liftoff at 1:07 p.m. Eastern. Stage 2 burnout should occur about a little more than 8 minutes into the flight.
Good. Castor 30 motor pressure is continuing to tail off as we approach the burnout point. Attitude remains nominal. Altitude, and we have stage Castor 30 tail off, and stage 2 burnout. Attitude remains nominal. T plus 8 minutes. FTS is disabled.
And that occurring with the vehicle traveling 16,700 miles per hour at an altitude of 155 statute miles. The attitude control system on the second stage controlling the vehicle's attitude in preparation for Cygnus separation, which should occur at about the 10-minute mark, just about a minute and a half from now.
Just a little over a minute. There's 2-minute coast time between burnout and separation to allow residual thrust from the motor to die out prior to spacecraft separation. The vehicle state vector in the coast phase appears to be very close to the nominal performance prediction. Attitude remains nominal. Approximately 30 seconds to payload separation.
Approaching 9.5 minutes into the flight.
Vehicle telemetry remains very solid here in the RCC. Approximately 15 seconds to spacecraft separation.
Approaching 10 minutes into the flight, we're standing by for separation of Cygnus from the second stage or the upper stage. That will occur at an altitude of 154 statute miles at a speed of 16,700 miles per hour.
And we have payload separation. Cygnus is in orbit, and Antares has initiated the collision contamination avoidance maneuver.
A very smooth ascent, right on time at 1:07 p.m. 10 minutes later, Cygnus has now separated from the upper stage with its orbital insertion altitude of about 150 by 185 miles, with the station much higher than Cygnus. Over the course of the next 2.5 days, the Cygnus's orbit will be raised through a series of delta velocity or DV burns, rendezvous burns, that will occur over the next couple of days to put it in close proximity to that of the International Space Station for the capture phase using the station's robotic arm by the Expedition 38 crew members. The next major activity, obviously, is to get confirmation of solar array deployment.
To stay in the controls in the Launch Control Center until released.
And GSO LCA copies.
Thank you.
And Site Control LC, countdown 1.
NLC site control on 1.
Yeah, standby 1. And launch team, be advised, let's get through this post-launch checklist, maintain net protocol at this time, and maintain protocol within the control rooms as well. Site control will go for step 371, remove aft bay GN2 flow and reconfigure ETS for post-launch.
NLC site control complete.
Copy that, check 371. Core 1, LC, countdown 1.
LC Core 1 here.
You go for step 372 and 373, direct fusion way to power off their MS and FMS ground equipment.
Copy that. 372, 373 in work.
Roger that. And Ops 1 LC, step 374.
LC Ops 1, arm enable rotated and deluminated.
Roger that. I'll get that typo corrected there.
Orbital's flight control facility
Disable local launch enabled.
out in Dulles, Virginia, the suburbs of Washington, D.C., overseeing all of the Cygnus activities for the remainder of its mission toward the International Space Station, as well as its departure, which is targeted for mid-February. So the Antares rocket has done its job of delivering Cygnus to orbit. Cygnus, a 10,000-pound spacecraft that will deliver nearly 2,800 pounds of cargo to the International Space Station. Arrival at the station is scheduled for Sunday morning. All of that activity will be carried on NASA television, of course, with the rendezvous, the capture using the station's robotic arm, and the berthing of Cygnus to the Harmony Earth-facing docking port. All of that scheduled for Sunday morning. The C. Gordon Fullerton Cygnus spacecraft is the second for Orbital Sciences delivery to the International Space Station, combined with the 3 commercial deliveries of SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft. That brings the total to 5 commercial vehicles now that have either arrived at the station or, of course, en route. That supplement the commercial resupply capability of the orbiting space station.